Well, welcome. Tonight we talk about a very important race in the center of the universe, the race for selectmen. As always, I've made a promise that I'll never ask you to vote for any specific candidate, but I'll beg you to vote. You know, with the school committee and the selectmen, they set the vision for Milford and really do control a lot of our daily interactions. So it's important for you to get out, get to know the two candidates for selectmen, decide which one best fits your vision, and then make sure you get out and vote. So let's start with an introduction.
Hello, my name is Ami Clifford and I'm running for selectman. My candidacy represents the common sense majority. In Milford, I'm a mother, I'm a lawyer, I've been a business person, I've been a town meeting member, I own property, I've been a landlord, I've been a tenant, I have children. So I think I represent the common sense majority in Milford. And my candidacy is, or can be viewed as an invitation for the other 80% of Milfordians that don't participate in town elections to come and join us.
Well, Amy, I always ask one question to start and the same question to end. Amy, I'm from Milford. Why should I vote for you?
Okay, yeah, great. Thanks for that question. Like I mentioned, voting for me means that you're voting for the common sense majority. So as I mentioned, the roles that I have in Milford, and just in life in general, as a mom, as a lawyer, as a business person, I represent all of those roles, and as a lawyer also I'm a steward for people that aren't coming and showing up. So if you vote for me for selectman, you can trust that I'm going to see all the different roles in Milford, and that I'm going to represent them fairly and with integrity and with honesty. I have a very strong vision. I love the town of Milford, and I will be a good representative for you.
Now, you chose to come back to Milford.
Yeah.
Because you were out in California, or?
Yeah, I've actually traveled all over the world. I grew up in Hopkinton, right next door, and then I moved to Milford when my kids were little, and I got married and moved out to California, and I've been also in Canada, and literally I've been all over the world. And I think that really brings an advantage to me to come back to Milford, the town that I live. I live right downtown. I drive by and see the town hall every day. It's a beautiful place, and I think that having been gone and then coming back makes me realize, maybe more so than people who are here all the time, how great we have it here in Milford, how many advantages we have that maybe we don't see and we don't take for granted. So yeah, I came back to Milford.
I remember when I grew up here and did what most Milford kids want to do, ran away.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and I mean, I loved DC, I really enjoyed Paris, but somehow when I had my first daughter, it was time to come home.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I really love that about Milford. It's not tapping into you, other folks that have that deep love of Milford. Judge Francis Larkin, literally, I met him when I was a law student at University of Massachusetts School of Law, and that man also loves Milford.
Frank and Virginia are absolute bastions of loving this town.
Right, and I really, so I do hear that message loud and clear from some of the people that live in Milford, more so now that I'm running for selectman. I've been in touch with a lot more people who are very vocal and very involved, but I look at the people who live here who don't say that, and I think, why not? This town has got a lot going for it, and I think that the other 80% of people that don't show up, we just need to invite them. They don't know that they don't know what they're missing. That's basically what I think.
Well,
about that.
you know, it's always funny because people will come and say, this is wrong with Milford, this is wrong. And I ask a basic question. What town would you trade it for?
Right.
You know, look at all the towns around us and tell me, where would you rather be?
Right. Yeah, I mean, Milford's got so many things going for it. I love our hospital. You know, we've just got, we've got a lot going for us.
So as you look to be selectman,
Mm-hmm.
select person, whatever we want to call it. I can't figure that out, but my daughters keep correcting me.
Okay.
What do you think the 3 biggest challenges you'll face are?
So I think one of the 3 biggest challenges I see are, one, that we don't have enough people engaged. So of course, you know, politics at the national level takes a lot of our daily time and attention, as it should. It's our national politics. But anybody who's concerned about national politics, you know, can use any like excess of frustration, or, you know, don't cry, what am I going to do if I don't like the way our nation's going? You know, we can just help direct them to become more involved here at the local level, because your voice actually means something here at the local level, and 80% of our voters don't really they don't know that, they don't feel that. So for me, voter engagement is not just about this election, but it's sort of like it's the solution, you know, past my candidacy. It's you know, it's what we need to do in order to build up the kind of democracy that we want to have in this country. So anyway, that's one, is voter turnout. The other one is traffic flow. I really find that the 109, 16, Dilla, you know, the rush hour traffic is an issue. I don't really focus on negatives a lot. I just find that ends up, you know, creating a downward spiral of negative thinking that we can all get ourselves caught up into. But there's one like specific project that I would stay focused on. It's the traffic issues, because I think that they really impact the quality of life for all Milfordians. And so I, you know, that's one area I would like to work on.
Any third one?
I would like to see more business growth. I know that's sort of a double-edged sword, because, you know, that brings in more people and more traffic, and but it also generates tax revenue, and you know, to have a vibrant business community is just obviously, you know, the common sense way to, you know, make the town more vibrant, give us Milfordians more opportunity to, you know, shop and eat in different places, and the right businesses, as they grow and develop, they become little areas of community in and of themselves, so the business owners get involved. So, like, it ties back to my first one, which is more involvement in our town and community. But I think business growth is the third one, because it also brings tax revenue.
But do you have any ideas on how to increase the business growth?
I don't have any specific, you know, action plans to how I would do that. But I know that what I would do is, you know, like, focus on the positives. So the businesses that we do have, I would start with them. So I have a long history of business, success in business, and sales in particular. I worked as a top sales agent for companies like Oracle and EMC and Teradata. And so I always had the same problem about, like, how do you accomplish a difficult, strategic, kind of messy, you know, problem. And it just starts with, like, taking stock of what you have. So, you know, I would talk to the key business leaders who show up to our debates, and I'd learn a little bit about them. And then, you know, like, you can't point from here to there about how that creates the new, but it does. Like, I know that for sure. That's how we make more good things happen, is we go to the people, like, who are involved in the town as public servants, or, you know, involved citizens. We go to the people who are involved in the town as business leaders, people who are investing. We talk to them, we get to know them. More business comes from that. That's how it works.
One of the debates that's been ongoing for many decades is downtown. You know, because you talk about bringing in new businesses and getting a vibrant business community. One of the areas we could certainly use help is downtown. Mm-hmm. And I keep hearing one of the biggest impediments is we don't have any houses downtown. Mm. You know, above the stores, if you look, the first floors are all full, which is good.
Yeah.
But then you look one story up and it's empty. Mm-hmm. Do you have any feeling for, would you support putting housing up there, apartments, or?
I mean, if there's good justification, I certainly would. If somebody came in with a plan that, really revitalized the downtown area. I already see us doing a lot to revitalize the downtown area. I really love what we're doing to the downtown area. And I live downtown, so this isn't, this is like my space. So, if there's a strategic plan to do even more, I would support it. I don't know what the long-term downtown of Milford will look like, but vibrant communities have vibrant downtowns, places to gather, and we're lucky in Milford because we don't just have that one downtown. We have lots of different areas, lots of areas to gather, and there's even places in the industrial part of town, and that are vibrant. So I wouldn't force anything that to happen, but just kind of cultivate growth where it is, and that will have benefit.
One of the things that everybody always wants to know is your view on what I call profanity.
Okay.
The words like 2.5 override and
right.
debt exclusion.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, you're a town meeting member, we'll talk about that, but you've heard me refer to those words as the most profane ones the FinCom comes in contact with. Yeah. What are your feeling about 2.5 overrides?
I'm not just a selectman candidate, but I'm also I'm a tax-paying citizen myself, and I'm generally like the common sense majority, against taxes. However, when when you're receiving value out of taxes, people have a lot, in general, not just me, have a lot less difficult time paying taxes. Overrides and levy limits, I can't imagine if they needed to be done for strategic reasons, then I would support them. But I can't imagine what that looks like at this point.
No, not with 13 years running of surpluses.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is we have, like I mentioned, I have, a decade of experience in business, businesses of all sizes. And, I recognize, the fact that we've had 13 years of surplus is because we have smart stewards who are creating, very intelligent fiscal planning that accounts for, changes, and and that's it's not really a science; it's like an art. And so my general rule of thumb is to pay attention to the stewards of the financial community. Of there's a lot of people here who are all tuned into what what's going on and why, and they have a bunch of plans built for contingencies and that kind of thing. So that's.
Yeah, but you're one of the town meeting members.
Well, I was a town meeting member. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, for me, one of the strongest assets we've had in Milford is that our heads of departments are Milfordians. They care.
Right.
Whether they were, the official definition of Milfordian is 3 generations of Milford and you live within 2 miles of your mother. But if you don't stick to the strict definition,
right.
Then you turn around and say, but wait a minute, town meeting has been a wonderful sounding board.
Yeah.
When you look at Milford's financial condition, it's the department heads not spending when they don't have to.
Yeah.
Chief Tui Rev 2, our fire chief, came to us last year.
Yeah.
And said, I know I was scheduled to buy a fire truck this year.
Right.
Don't really need it. I can go another year. Well, that's $650,000.
Right. Yeah. See, that's the kind of when I say that we have involved members in Milford, and we have a lot of things that are working right in this town, a lot of things that are working right, the relationship with the the stewards in the town and the officials in the town to the well-being of the town, really cannot be overestimated. It is like, that's what makes the difference. People caring makes the difference. It makes all the
Absolutely.
difference. Yeah.
Now, you talk about the levy limit.
Yeah.
There's been controversy for as long as I remember that some people view 2.5 as the minimum you can spend. Other people view it as the maximum you can spend. Without having, if a building blew up or something happened, obviously we deal with it.
Right.
But how do you feel about taxing to the levy limit, and when we don't, giving that money back to the taxpayers?
Well, I mean, I think that's a very complicated problem. It's got so many different facets to it, and all of the competing factors must be balanced to figure out what is the right solution.
But should we give back? Like, each year we've been giving, and I hate using the word giving back because it's not our money to begin with, but
Right.
when we apply half, of our surplus to the tax rate to keep taxes growing slower.
Right.
So I've never seen them go down.
Right.
But should we be doing that, or should we be taking that and spending it?
I think you probably know better than I the details of our financial budgeting. That's something I have to understand a lot more before I can answer that question in
Yeah, but
detail.
how do you feel? Is it right to give back money that is a surplus, or should we find ways to spend it?
I don't know the answer to that question. Here's the thing. I know that I know the community members really love it when they when they get money back, right? So that makes like everybody in town happy. But maybe that leaves a little bit of a gap, and we can't fill the next emergency request that comes in that we haven't already figured out. So I'm not I'm not in charge of the finances at the the detailed level. I really, before I had an informed opinion about that, I would really have a lot of conversations with the stewards of our town to figure out really kind of what our financial mindset is, because I know it's awesome because of our consistent surplus, and like anybody can have a surplus in 1 year, maybe 2, like maybe 3, but we're doing something right if we've got that
13 straight years?
If we've got that kind of record, we're doing something right. And I'm not going to mess around with. I want to know the people who are making these kind of decisions. I really want to know what their thought process is, and I want to learn from them, not tell them what to do, because that would be ignorant.
Well, we've been lucky because, we take the budgets, then we look at our capital needs, because some of the requests coming from the EPA of us having to spend $60 million on stormwater, kind of make you take a step back.
Yeah.
But normal capital gets applied to the town meeting. And the FinCom prepares suggestions. But as you know, we are the most influential, powerless people in town hall. Out of the 200 odd votes, we get 1. So it really is town meeting that are the stewards of every dollar we spend. We just kind of count the beans and put them in order. But when you start looking down at the people who built this town, you have to be sensitive. Because you take what we need to operate the town. You take the capital, which is the future.
Yeah.
And then you decide, okay, we got $3 million left. It's easy. The easiest road, and you'll be a hero, is to go spend it. Because then you're giving people stuff and they love it.
Right.
But it bothers me and a few people. You got to remember that the people who built this town, a lot of them are living on $1,500 a month. Or less, Social Security.
Right. Yeah.
So raise it, I drink my coffee and everybody makes fun of me. I spend my $2 and something on my coffee and I don't feel bad. It's my money. I earned it. I can spend it.
Yeah.
But before I go spend somebody else's $2,
Right.
In my mind, you got to think 3 times.
Yeah.
So from that end, we are doing what you're saying. We're looking at our budget,
Right.
looking at capital,
Right.
and then trying to decide what do we do with the rest.
Right, that's just clever. That's just, that's just being a careful steward. And
Yeah, and like last year with the fire truck, we know it's coming. It's not that Chief Toohey said, well, I'll never need it. I'm going
Right.
to need it. I can put it off a year or two.
Right.
I think he said one, and we said, oh, good. Maybe next year he won't need it either. But we took that money and put it away
Right.
into an account
Right.
so that when he comes this year or next year, first of all, he's got all the credibility in the world because we know he wouldn't say he needs it
Yeah.
if he doesn't.
Right.
But secondly, we put away $1.5 million in the budget every year for capital.
Right.
Well, if I'm going to eat up 650 of it, it wouldn't leave anything.
Right.
This year we got 650 from last year to go towards the Toohey toy when he needs it.
Right.
So, from that end, it seems to work.
Yeah, and that's one thing I really want to communicate about my candidacy for selectman. I'm a fresh voice. I have been a town meeting member, but I'm not one now. I don't have all the details. I'm not involved in all the discussions that are going on. And since I decided to run, I've gotten a lot of feedback that might be what our town could really use right now. But I understand that some folks might find that, especially when you have a delicately balanced system that's running really well, maybe you don't need a fresh face in there to really mess things up. So I want to be really clear about my candidacy. I'm a fresh voice. I'm a new participant, but I'm also one that's very familiar with how to enter a situation that's working and not just mess it all up. So I'm a careful person about entering a town.
Well, I think that's the concern when people say, okay, I've got to weigh experience with a fresh view.
Right. Yeah,
if
I would too. Anybody who's got a system that's working, especially when it's complicated enough like our town government, you should be really worried about that. So my track record speaks for itself in terms of that I am able to be a very good steward. I have integrity. I've got the ability to make very good decisions, like business decisions. So I'm fiscally responsible. But I don't come in like a bull in a china shop and make everything I am careful about what steps to take. So that's something that I'd like to communicate to the voters of Milford.
It's very few towns could have done Woodland, $60 million,
It's a beautiful school.
and not use profanity. For 8-9 years,
Yeah.
we were taking grief because everybody kept saying, why are you putting money away in stabilization? Why are you putting so much away?
Right.
And we kept saying, there's a school coming. There's a school coming.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that night, I remember getting up at town meeting saying, school's here.
I bet you have fun with that, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, the problem is the following month when they said, okay, what's with this proposal to put more money away? I said, there's a school coming. They said, we just came. I said, yeah, that one came and went. Now we got the high
Right.
school coming in 8 years.
Yeah. See, I actually, I really can't thank you enough and the other citizens of Milford who do invest on infrastructure projects in this strategic way. I think Milford is a town that should be held up, across our state, across our nation. I've traveled the world, like I said, across the world as a town that is working and doing things the right way, and could be utilized as an example of like what functioning town government looks like, and how we invest in the right kind of projects in the long term. Like in this day and age where businesses are driven by quarterly profit motives, to have a long-term strategic vision that is sustainable and needs to be like meted out like day after day over years.
Well, we're having the discussions starting next month where we're talking about not only short-term capital,
Right.
but what we need in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's always funny when people say, you're arguing over what you're going to need in 10 years, it's like, yes.
Right.
Because otherwise that, Woodland would have come,
Right.
and where are we going to get? Our share was, almost $30 million.
Right.
I felt really good that we were able to take it out of our normal budget.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when the high school comes, our share is going to be 50-ish million.
Right.
For me, 50 million, when I grew up, you could have bought Milford. They would have thrown in
Right.
Hopedale. Maybe Hopkinton, it was all farms and cows.
Yeah.
But you sit there and say, you really feel proud of the citizens here.
Yeah.
Because, town government, the people on the FinCom, the selectmen, yeah, they direct. But when you look around and you see other towns where they're having wars between departments, school and selectmen and all,
Right.
we always have that in private.
Hey, if you don't have some amount of negative kind of conflict, I feel like you're not making the right kind of progress. So that's why I want to see more want to see more people involved, because I think the only way to get to a true democracy is by having a very vigorous public debate with lots of different viewpoints, and everybody's viewpoint is accepted. We should not shame people for having a viewpoint different than our own, and that's something I'm a really firm believer in. So,
well, if you've watched town meeting, there are dissenting views that are very far to the right and the left.
Yeah.
But everybody gets the chance to talk.
Hey, that's how it works. You need everybody in order to figure out where to go. You need the left, you need the right, you need different viewpoints to figure out which is the way to go. And with the right kind of vigorous debate, you go to the right place. And I'm hoping that bubbles up through our whole nation.
Any views on Middle School East?
Is this the building? Is this the one that was sold?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just across from you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right there. I mean, I'm glad to see that there's, I consider that part of the downtown development project. I'm really glad to see the town, that this is being developed. I think it's sold for a really low amount of money. I would like to have seen it sell for a bit more, but I don't. That's hindsight 20.
Sure.
The next day quarterback. I'm sure there's a reason why it was sold for what it was. It made sense. It was a business transaction, and it's gonna, make Milford better. Yay.
Well, having it empty doesn't help us.
Yeah, that doesn't help at all. Empty buildings aren't that great. Yeah.
So, whatever money we got for it.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, when you start looking at, we're putting it on the tax roll.
Right. Yeah, and you can't Monday morning quarterback every decision that gets made. That's not it's not useful, and it also just creates if somebody cared.
Unproductive tension.
Yeah, if somebody you make a decision, you make the best decision you can at the time, and if everyone thinks you could have made a better decision later, then maybe they should have been there.
Why weren't you there when we were making it?
Right. So that's why I think that if people didn't like that decision, they could have been there and helped figure out what would be a better plan for that school. But I love the fact that it's going to be downtown condo delivered. That's where I live. More people should live downtown and make it vibrant. It's nice.
When you think of capital projects,
yeah.
If you had the magic wand, can you think of your top 2 or 3?
I know this is a biggie because I know that the selectmen have decided that this is not one, but the traffic, that I want to revive the traffic studies for 10916 and Dilla Street. I think that is worthy of further study, and it's.
But what do you do? I mean, many decades ago, the town had an idea of a bypass road. Mm-hmm. That on 109.
Is that the one that became the bike route?
No, that's the trail.
Yeah.
No, this was one that would take you away from downtown. You're
right.
Coming up, either coming down 16 or down 109.
Right.
Complete arc around.
Right.
Back then, it would have been, you know, some ridiculous $50 million or something.
Seems like a steal now.
Well, yes. But, you know, back then also, if all 9 cars from Milford were on the road at the same time,
Right.
it
Yeah.
wasn't a tremendous, you know, traffic jam.
Right.
You know, when that was the years they put in 495, and we all looked and said, why? I don't even see a car. I can drive on, it's like a private road. And look at it today. Without it, where would we be?
Right.
But any ideas as to what you do with traffic?
We've got a lot of traffic studies we've paid a lot of money for, and they just need to be revised. I'm not the strategic traffic plan, you know, surveyor, engineer type myself, but as selectman, I can tell you that I'm not gonna just decide that nothing can be done about that issue. I think that issue has a lot of quality of life embedded into it, and I think it restricts our growth sometimes, and so that's a problem that I'm very firmly interested in.
Yeah, but I worry that it's like world peace. We all agree it should be done.
Right.
But then you turn around and say, okay, how do we bring this to fruition?
Oh, I don't think it's like that at all. That's so concrete. You know, the traffic issue at 109, 16 Dilla Street, rush hour, that's a concrete problem. It's just really big and complicated to fix. So I know we've looked at it a bunch of times. I'm going to look at it again. And I'm not going to, you know, like decide that, like, oh, it's just too big of a problem. Or, you know, I've got enough experience understanding that there's, you know, there's always creative solutions to figure out how to solve a problem. If you've got that, if that problem is like persistent enough in your head, and for me, it seems like it's going to be a big quality of life improvement for the town of Milford, and so that makes it a really big, important issue for me.
You can always eat an elephant as long as you let me eat it one bite at a time.
That's what I'm talking about. I think it's an important issue, and I think it's going to constrict Milford's growth, and I think it decreases the quality of life of our citizens to the point that I'm very interested in fixing that.
One of the biggest capital purchases we've ever faced as a town is the water company.
Right.
Have you had a chance to look at any of the details of the water company?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't reviewed that transaction in great detail, but the town voted for it. It sounds pretty stupid to say that my vision of Milford includes like good water. I don't think that really differentiates me from anybody.
If you were around a couple of years ago when we didn't have water, somebody take us, you know, a position to say, don't take water for granted because
right.
I got to go pick it up at the high school.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, we all need water, and you know, we voted for that, and it just brings us in line with almost every other town. So I support that purchase.
Yeah, the issue that I think we still haven't come to grips with is we all agreed to pay $60 million. And then somewhere I think the water company realized, hey, we can get more. You know, we can get maybe 80. So they're asking for 150.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a limit to what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we can't be held hostage for.
Have you taken a look at the bus service in Milford?
Yeah, so I think the bus service, I believe that Milford, you know, should have, be connected to the local, you know, towns, and that's an important objective. You know, some people need that service to get to work, but I also think that we need to balance that with, you know, subsidizing bus service should always be transitional plan. So I think that needs to balance.
You know, one of the questions that came up initially is, should we be providing bus service? And I think most people understood that for a lot of the special needs population, for a lot of the elderly, it was a good thing.
Yeah.
But the question came out, having a single bus running around Milford,
Right.
you know, 'cause, I mean, I'm not hiding it. I asked the question saying, for my mother to use the bus, she's got to walk 2 miles. And at 93, 94 years old,
Right.
she's not walking 2 miles to get to a bus.
Right.
The senior center has little vans, and you've got to schedule it, but you have to drive. They drive right to your door, pick you up, and take you.
Another great organization. Our senior center is amazing.
Sue is unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, she did such a great job getting us grants to fix up the heights, to fix up downtown, and now she's just expanding. I mean, she came to us 2 years ago for funds to do aerobics for seniors. I got to tell you, I'm thinking at my age, I can't even do aerobics. And I'm not calling myself a senior. AARP does, but, and yet now she's got to expand the program because it's busting at the seams.
Yeah, it's like, so that organization is one of the ones that I look to in terms of it builds community. You know, some businesses do that. Some, you know, the senior center builds community and serves our population in the way that it makes sense for us, makes us proud.
Another program that's always been controversial is leaves.
Oh,
Picking them up.
Yeah, I'm pissed. The leaves thing missed my house this year, so I had a big event, so I had to bag them all myself. I love the leaf pickup. I think everybody loves the leaf pickup, and if we get to like sure that that's a right and a like a personalized service. Like, so when the weather was weird this year, so they just didn't come. They came like a month later or something. But I didn't bother to call the town and find that out. So I bagged it myself. I'm like, oh, where's the leaf picker? So like that's a problem where you know, I wasn't engaged enough in the town to figure out what's going on, because that's you know, like that's a service that we provide, and you know, if people aren't feeling like they're getting enough value out of that, that's, you know, a project that maybe we shouldn't provide anymore. I don't really know.
Probably one of the most popular programs.
Yeah.
Yet the one that Scotty would love to give up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because he cannot win.
No, he cannot. Yes.
I remember they rotated every 5 weeks.
Right.
When I was week 1 a few years ago,
right,
I took my 2 leaves, carried them down to the end of the driveway. They came by and they diligently scooped up both leaves.
Oh, wow.
And then 2-3 weeks later, I look up.
Oh, right.
And down come the leaves.
Yeah, right. I know. You know what? I mean, I suppose, like, you know, people could probably get really on board with trying to figure out how to fix the leaves so it worked better. I think that might be an avenue for us to figure out how to get those people
Everybody
engaged.
wants to be week 3.
Yeah, and get those people engaged in the discussion. And if, you know, if I could have a meeting, if we had a town meeting where, you know, like 5,000 people showed up so that they could figure out how to have optimum leave pickup next year, I would consider that the biggest win. Because you gotta get to people where they care about, right? Like that's how we gotta get people engaged.
The only thing I've seen is when I was week 1,
mm-hmm.
he came back at the end of week 5, and they scooped him up again.
Wow.
I was so happy.
Yeah, yeah.
Because by then all the leaves had fallen.
Right. Yeah.
This year, God bless him, the week before my week, we got all the snow.
Yes, so that's what happened. Yeah.
I figured that was it. I'm done.
Yeah.
But unlike you, who were nice, I was less than nice. I picked up the phone, was one of the thousands of people that called the highway department and said, "Hey,
right,
you didn't get my leaves."
Right.
And you know, poor Scotty and crew.
Yeah,
had to say,
I can't imagine how many calls they got like that this year. But hey, like as you know, as candidate for selectman, I would think that kind of you know, community engagement is an opportunity for us to pull a town meeting together, or, you know, do something to engage those folks, because people get really riled up about the leave pickup.
Sure.
And you know, it's not really a big, hard, difficult problem for us. Like it's a very small piece of our you know, like the services that we provide, but it provides this massive like impact. So
but isn't it wonderful that the biggest problems people complain about are you didn't pick up my leaves?
Yeah, no, it's
I
like,
mean, other towns are worried about closing libraries and.
yeah, it's so great because you know, it's one of the things that we do in Milford that you know, other towns, like, they don't do that kind of thing, and we're just so spoiled that we are mad that our leave pickup was on week 1 instead of week 3. But like I said, I think that's an opportunity for us to engage more people in this discussion, in the town
Well, it's the
discussion.
same with trash.
Like they could come and say, yeah, trash. They could come and say, like, you know, I have to have it week 3, and then, you know, we could figure out like how to do more in week 3. You know, working with Scotty, and like, you know, like if that was the thing that got like, you know, another 20% of people engaged and feeling like they're committed into the town. We need things like that for people to
Sure.
feel like all the people who do love Milford and think it's great. You know, we need to touch the other ones so that
Well, it started like you think of the trash.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of that was set up because we got tired of picking up trash in Asylum Street.
Right.
Because everybody would drive up there and oops, it would fall out of their pickup
Yeah.
or out of their back trunk.
Right.
There's been a lot of push, and my hat is off to the good Dr. Evans and, you know, the other members who have resisted this one stream thing. Because then you get one bucket for recycle, one bucket for trash, and I think some towns will sell you the designer trash bags.
Right.
That you can buy this. My daughter lived in Worcester.
Yeah.
And she had to pay $3 for this little.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I kept saying, what happens when we have Christmas?
Right.
And you got the 3 major bags full.
Right.
Or when I want to get rid of a couch.
Right. Well, then I think everyone probably just drives to the next town and drops their.
Well, there
off
you go.
rather
Now
than-
here comes
So
Asylum Street
I don't
again.
love that. I don't love that plan. But I do love the fact that we take care of that as a town. I think that's a service that people don't actually value when they sit down and figure out how they write their tax check. But I know I was in touch with it because when I wasn't in Milford, when I moved to California, I rented my house out, and at one point I was like, oh my gosh, I need to pay the garbage pickup, and then I realized I don't need to pay.
You already did in your taxes.
Right. But I did live in Toronto, Canada, and they had a really great system there. I'd love to see us eventually go in this way, which is they had a larger recycle bin than a trash bin, and then they picked up trash every 2 weeks. So they picked up like recycling every week, and they picked up trash every 2 weeks, and it was just amazing to see, amazing to see how that kind of law, you know, gets passed. So it was, or gets implemented. So that was a really interesting experience.
Do you think the recycle advantage will stay?
What do you mean?
Well, years ago, China would take all our recycle.
Yeah.
And the last couple years, China passed a law that said it has to be 95% or greater pure.
Yeah.
So the recycle is just piling up.
Right.
And no longer being recycled.
Yeah.
They're now starting to burn it as if it was trash because, you know, you see parking lots full of, you know, cubic condensed recycle materials that they can't get rid of.
Yeah.
So I more worry that our advantage of, you know, paying $70 a ton for garbage and getting recycle for free may go away.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a problem. I know this is an issue, but I think it'll drive, like many of these things, it drives a new business opportunity. It drives, you know, when a problem becomes big enough. What was it? Somebody was saying recently that people in New York City really early on were like, oh my gosh, all the manure, like we gotta solve this manure problem because, you know, in like 10 years, like this, you know, the manure will be like 100 feet deep, and what like that problem got solved because we had automobiles. And I think it's going to be the same sort of thing. Right. You know, the problem has gotten so big that I'm hoping that there's some sort of business transformation, or I know I purchase a lot more products that are fully made of recyclable. I think, you know, our students in Milford High are, you know, like these people put their minds to figuring out a solution to this problem that let's do that. Let's do that here in Milford. Like, let's have somebody solve that problem right now.
One of the big emotional issues is the whole issue of immigration.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, any comments on immigration impact in Milford?
Yeah, so first of all, my comments on immigration are that it's, it's a national issue. The policy on it is handled at a national level. But when I think about immigration here in Milford, I think about how this town was founded by immigrants. And I think about how we have, a whole new influx of immigrants. And I live downtown. I live next to lovely Brazilian families. I live next to, dozens of Ecuadorian roofers getting in their vans, like, very early in the darks, going off to work every day. And I think that I see them, and I think our challenge here is to be, how to find the grace to recognize this new group of immigrants as, like, the new, like, our new Milford. Like, we were founded on immigrants. We now have a whole new influx. But
what are the Ecuadorians? They're the new, or the Guatemalans are the new Ecuadorians, who are the new Brazilians, who are the new Portuguese, who are the new Irish,
yeah,
who
I
are the
came
new
from
Italian.
Irish. So my family were the Irish. We immigrated. We were Irish immigrants. We were the second-class citizens when we came to this country.
Weren't we all?
Yeah, we all were. We all were. And I think we need to find the grace to deal with immigrants and the fact that they're here. And it's silly to fight immigration. Like, we need to we need to recognize that our town is still, it's not like it became an immigrant town, it's still an immigrant town with people who are trying to create like a life for themselves. So
1939, my grandfather moved to Milford to work in the shoe factory. And I won't say indentured servitude took over, but he lived like a servant, because every penny he could get his hands on, he would save to send back to Portugal. So his 3 daughters and wife could live a better life.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against people who come here, like my grandfather, put their head down and work.
Yeah.
They work hard, they take care of their families.
Yeah.
The people who come here and break the rules, I have less sympathy for.
Right. Well, I don't like people who are breaking the rules anyway. I think we all need to stay focused. I see the people I see, most of the people I see, immigrants, even just regular citizens, are usually, more interesting in kind and working. They're not breaking rules and that kind of thing. And I would like to say that, some folks that I know in Milford that are immigrants, they might even need extra special attention from us that haven't, who have been here for a few extra generations, because, some things happen to them and they might be afraid to call the police or stand up for themselves. So I look at myself as, I look at them and I see my own relatives. I see my own immigrant family from Ireland, and it makes me want to, be a steward for them.
Wasn't a long, long time ago that there were signs, dogs and cats okay, but no Irish.
Yeah, exactly.
And you ran into the same thing with Italians, you ran into the same thing with Portuguese.
Right, yeah.
Unless your name is Squanto or something, that you weren't Native American.
Right, yeah, we were none of us,
and we weren't really nice to them when we came.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
I think the solution is to find grace within ourselves, and hold ourselves up to be the kind of person that we want to be, and focus on how to grow this town in a way that reflects its history, which was a history of immigrants.
And I think if we all look back, we're all immigrants somewhere.
Yeah.
Our families all immigrated to Milford.
Right.
Somewhere along the line.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if God bless, the immigrants come in, they put their heads down and work hard, I welcome them, to Milford like everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah, It's a small population that causes problems.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to see them thrown out, but I think the problem is, as Milfordians, even selectmen, what are you going to do? Deport them to Rhode Island?
Yeah, I mean, I have no plans to, fix any immigrant problem in Milford. I'm not in touch with immigrant problem in Milford.
One of the less admirable events that's going on in Milford is the court of public opinion on things like Chief O'Loughlin. Any comments?
I don't know enough about what's going on with Chief O'Loughlin. I do know that I support the police, and I support Chief O'Loughlin as the chief of police. I know there's a lot of conflict going on with that situation. There must be some information I don't have in order to understand what's going on about that. But I would say that that's one of the reasons I'm running for selectman, is that I moved back to Milford in August, and I just don't. I think we need to focus. I think we need to focus our attention elsewhere. It just doesn't make sense to me that we're all wrapped up. It's one of the reasons
when you
why.
think about it, you read about demonstrations about the police across the country. My own opinion, I'm pretty proud that we've had 2 demonstrations about our police, both positive.
Yeah.
That's a nice statement in my mind.
Right. Well, the First Amendment is a big deal. So I feel like if people wanted to demonstrate against our police, I wouldn't, I wouldn't be upset about that. But, I also, I think that the outcry of hating the police, the things that we hear on the national level, I don't think that's the right way to go either. The police are doing a job, and they're only able to do what they're able to do in their role. And if there's something socially wrong that's mixing up how we feel about the police, that's a mess. The police are there to do a job. We pay them, and we need to respect the fact that they're doing their job. And I've never yet met a police. I've met a lot of police officers. I know many of them. I used to work with the chief of police when I lived in California a long time ago. They're all very proud public servants. And if there's social issues that go on, and if there's a bad police officer or whatever, we can't hold everybody accountable for that. We have good police officers here in Milford, and as far as I know, we have a great, chief of police.
When you think about what drives that sentiment, the demonstrations that I see are the tip of the iceberg. It's the catalyst. But there's been fuel gathering up. I don't see it in Milford. We all seem to like our police department.
Yeah.
Standing out the first time in the cold rain to, say we support you, thank you.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah. So when I say I've seen the public come out to support Chief O'Loughlin, and that I love. I just love seeing us being engaged and caring about what's going on in this town, and just coming out and having our voice. So I really love that that we've seen engagement. That's what I'm all about. I want us to become more involved. I want everybody to become more involved. So
we have to respect the pesky First Amendment.
Yeah, it's great until somebody says something you don't like, and then we all hate it. But you gotta recognize that that's the process, and that's the process.
If I want to have my opinion,
right,
then I've got to honor yours, as long as you're not doing it in a way that hinders my ability to have an opinion.
Right.
I've always joked and said the First Amendment allows me to be stupid in many people's eyes.
Right.
It's.
Yeah.
You may hate what I say.
Right.
Every 8 years we get the skinheads come through Milford, and they put down their fecal matter, their brochures, and you hold your breath and say, nobody engage, nobody engage.
Right.
And nobody engages.
Yeah.
And then they go away.
Yeah, I think that's I think it's a really important part
It's
of
like
our
cicadas.
process.
They'll come back in 8 years.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
ignore them.
Yeah.
We don't need that hatred in Milford.
Right. But let them come in, let them do their thing, let them say what they want to say. And then I do believe that we all need to make space for people to say what they need to say. You know, if what they say is stupid and, you know, upsetting, you know, that just reflects upon them.
But you know, you think about it, when you're sitting at town meeting and somebody comes up with this idea that sometimes I sit there and say, what narcotics are you on and why aren't you sharing them? But you got to respect the fact that I want somebody way out there.
Yeah.
The
right.
worst thing in the world I can imagine is any group I'm on all being like me.
Right.
God help us if the finance committee was all
Right.
like me. We'd never spend enough money.
Right. I
'Cause
mean,
I'd always
you'd
be
have fun going out with those people,
Yeah.
but it's not, yeah, it never becomes an effective,
But I'd be
it's
so
not an
worried
effective group.
that we run out of money that I'd be wanting to squirrel more and more away. And, you know, we've had people where they want to spend everything we got and more.
Yeah.
People like me that never want to spend it all.
Right.
And candidly, somewhere in the middle
Right.
is where Milford falls out,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it a wonderful place.
Absolutely.
Well, I got a question.
Yeah.
I'd love to keep going, but Amy, I'm from Milford. Why should I vote for you?
Okay, please, please, please vote on April 2nd. If you can't go to the polls that day, or if your life doesn't allow you to vote April 2nd, please contact the town. You can get a mail-in ballot. You just contact them, get a ballot. Just make your voice heard. If you want to get to know me, I have a bunch of events coming up. I'm doing a couple open houses at my house. I'm doing old school politics on Friday the 8th of March. So if seniors and those folks can come meet me, talk to me, tell me what they care about. And then also on Saturday the 9th from 4 to 6 p.m. And I'm doing an event at Craft Roots Brewery later in the month on March 25th. So please come out and get to know me, because you're going to want to vote for me because I'm a really good steward. I'm a fresh voice into town, but I'm not going to mess everything up that's already going on. So please vote for me for those reasons.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you.
thank you for stepping up and saying I'm willing to help, because that's where it all starts. When you get enough people who not only talk about making Milford better, but actually stand up and say they're willing to help. So as always, to our 6 loyal viewers, may God bless, may tomorrow be a better night than tonight, and please vote. Vote for somebody, but vote. Good night.
Not too long since I've been home. Been running all my life just